How many of you have seen The Wizard of Oz? Of course we all have. One of the most popular movies ever made. More than 75 years old now. And when it's shown on television, if the station has the temerity to trim a few minutes for a commercial, they are guaranteed angry phone calls and emails. You don't mess with The Wizard of Oz. Now, let's try and think of the names of the people who acted in it. Most of them are pretty easy. We've got Judy Garland, Ray Bolger, Bert Lahr, Jack Haley, Margaret Hamilton, the Wicked Witch of the West, Billy Burke, Glinda, the Good Witch. But how many of you thought of Frank Morgan? Ironic, because Frank Morgan played 3 different roles in the movie. He was Professor Marvel, the Emerald City Coachman, and the Wizard. And yet, after Frank Morgan died some years later, very few obituaries even mention the Wizard of Oz. During pre-production, the director, Victor Fleming, was trying to find the right kind of coat for Frank Morgan to wear in the black and white sequences in which Dorothy Gale runs away from her home to meet up with Professor Marvel, who then talks her into going back home. The coat that's described in the script had to look like it had once been very elegant because Professor Marvel was on hard time. The coat should look a little seedy, well worn, and so Fleming sent the property department to all the pawn shop and secondhand stores in Los Angeles. They came back with about 50 coats on a big rack. And one day, Victor Fleming and Frank Morgan went into Fleming's office, and Morgan started trying on the coats one at a time. Some didn't fit, some were the wrong style, some were too new, some were too old. And then they hit one that was amazing. It was a really nice coat, custom made, and made of black broadcloth. It was called a Prince Albert Swallowtail, with wide velvet lapels, deep turnbacks, and what just looked like it had once been a very elegant, nice coat. A little moth-eaten, a little careworn. What's most important, it fit Frank Morgan. So, the filming began. Now, everything in The Wizard of Oz was done on the soundstage. There are no exterior sequences whatsoever. And in the black and white sequences in which Dorothy runs away to meet Professor Marvel, Frank Morgan is wearing that coat. In between takes, and sometimes that can take 2 or 3 hours to set up a take for a 2-minute shot, Frank Morgan cannot change his appearance. He can't touch his face, he can't take anything off. It's hot in that soundstage. He's trying to cool himself off. He's fanning himself with the script. He's slapping the coat inside and out, trying to get cool. At one point, he pulls out all the pockets. Anything to help. He looks down and sees in indelible ink on the inside breast pocket the name of the man, the tailor, who had made the coat. Below that was the name of the man who owned the coat. Morgan was stunned. He told Fleming about it, and Fleming was equally surprised. And then Fleming sent the property department to send a letter to the tailor in Chicago and asked him about the coat. A few days later, a notarized letter came back from the tailor with a photograph proving that he had made that coat, and he also confirmed the name of the owner. After filming was done, the coat was cleaned and presented to the widow of the owner, who was stunned to find that her husband's coat had appeared in the movie. Now, The Wizard of Oz is a magic film, no matter how you look at it. It's magic in its story, and it's just magic in the way it was made. But I want you, next time you watch The Wizard of Oz, take a look at the coat Frank Morgan is wearing in those black and white sequences. You'll see that it fits him perfectly. You'll see that it was once a beautiful, elegant coat. But what you don't realize is that the coat was made for and owned by the original wizard himself, the man who had written The Incredible Wizard of Oz, L. Frank Baum.